Okay, let's see what we got here. Welcome back, folks. It's 5 minutes after the hour. I have refilled my tasty beverage. And now, so as a reminder, what we did in the first half, or the first hour, I guess first third, I'm on here. So it's 6 a.m. San Diego time. My favorite coffee shop downstairs, well, I guess it's the only coffee shop downstairs. My favorite coffee shop downstairs opens at 8 a.m., so it opens in 2 hours Pacific time. You've got me until they open. Once they open, I'm out of here, so that gives me a nice expiration time. They have this wonderful smoked salmon on a bagel kind of thing, like a lox and bagel that I just love starting my days with. So in the next hour, what I'm going to be doing is adding this check into the first responder kit. And then in the third hour, I'll just take open Q&A and we'll do whatever demos that y'all ask about. We'll switch into just plain straight T-SQL Q&A. But in this hour, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up GitHub. I'm going to make an issue for this improvement that I'm about to add to the SP Blitz first. I'm going to merge it into the code, which is going to involve its own little tricky bits. You'll learn about how the internals of SP Blitz first works. And then I'll update the blog post with the changes that I'm going to make. Lox, yes. Oh, it's so delicious. All right, let's get started. Oh, one of you said, abused sysadmin said, didn't he used to live in Vegas? And I think you mean me. There are companies' mailing addresses in Vegas. It's just because we have a mail processing facility in Vegas. It's not ours. It's not just ours, but we use a mail processing thing, whole Earth Class Mail, that opens all our email, deposits checks for us and stuff like that. So that way my wife and I can be all over the world and be on vacation for months, and we just take your money, and that's the end of it. Woohoo! We love money! And Jedi Mind Gorilla, you said during the break, you were going to replace a bilge pump in your boat, but this is far more fun. What kind of boat do you have? Because of course, they say that the best thing isn't to own a boat; it's to have a friend with a boat. So you're my friend, buddy. I love boats so much. I absolutely love them. I will never own a boat as long as I live. My goal, just to give you a vision into what my childhood was like. Oh yeah, wow. Oh, it's so awesome. Oh, you're lucky. That's just great. I'm happy for you. That's awesome. Grady Whites are amazing. Just nice. But my goal growing up was my bilge pump surface sissies. Oh, that's right. I totally forgot that you're down by Houston, down by Baytown. My goal growing up was always to have a 28-foot boat by the time I was 28, and specifically a sailboat. Wanted a 28-foot sailboat by the time I was 28, and a 45-foot sailboat by the time I was 45. And I did a couple of sailboat races, and I'm like, you know what? I don't ever need to do that again. I don't ever need to do that again. That's not enjoyable. Plus, I was caught in a couple of storms, and I was like, being out in a storm with a big metal pole, hanging onto a boat with a big giant metal pole, that's not really a great... you're exactly right, Jedi Mind Gorilla. You're exactly right. Sailboating is working. It looks so peaceful. Boy, as soon as anything goes wrong, oh. All right. So what we have here is we have the diagnostics. You're going to need a bigger boat. Exactly. I am exactly like the cat with the paper news. I should buy a boat. Oh, hurricanes. Jeez. Corey, I'm watching with my 3-month-old daughter. I don't think she's paying attention. Just here, this may perk her up. Hey, buddy. Ooh, hey, looks like you're trying to query the user's table. Clippy would probably be a great babysitter. Hey, looks like you're trying to play with matches. You know what? You need some gasoline. I got gasoline over right here. That's Clippy. So I got my query here now, and I can run it through and get all the data that I need, but now I need to merge it into SP Blitz first. So whenever you want to do work on an open source project, the way that starts is by going to the open source project's repo. So this is GitHub. I'm going to go just copy in the URL. I'll just copy it in there so that people have it in firstresponderkit.org, so that people have it over in Slack. And when I go there, I can go click on, welcome to the club, Brandon. I can go click on issues, and I'm going to go add an issue for this. So this is a feature request. I break these out into bug reports and feature requests to kind of gently hint to people that if you want a feature, you need to do the code yourself. You know, the open source doesn't mean free consulting and development. So you'll see when I click on new feature request, there's some wording in here to kind of strongly encourage people of make sure you've thought through this and that you're ready to do the code. SP Blitz first. Add a check for statistics updated recently. Is your feature request related to a problem? Yes. When statistics update, it causes plans to free from the cache. Good to see you, Hanny, too, as well. And welcome to the club. Freeze plans from the cache. SP Blitz first. Can be run and logged to a table every 15 minutes, so it'd be helpful to see which stats were recently, Chucky J, easier name to pronounce right there, were recently updated. Solution that I'd like, a warning of stats were recently updated and list the stats in the details. Alternatives you've considered, building a separate script to check when stats were updated. Are you ready to build code for the feature? Yes, I am ready and willing. Well, my mind is willing, my body is at 6:12 a.m. local. Goodness, local time. The assignees, I'm going to assign myself. When you own the repo, you get to make the assignees and the labels and stuff like that. Those of you who, thank you, Jedi Mind Gorilla. Those of you who add your own tickets, you won't get Zoontite, won't be able to do that. So we'll add it to the milestone. Thank y'all. Oh, thank goodness for y'all. It's always funny. I say funny, but since I do have asthma, I cough from time to time, and it's real. Like I will try anything to avoid coughing in elevators, or any kind of close-in ones. So I'm trying to figure out how to type it, man, because I feel so guilty these days. People. Wow. I don't want them to freak out. They immediately just go, oh. All right, so we've got the check. Now I need to go add over in GitHub desktop. So I have the issue number over there on the left. Now I need to add a branch. So for those of you who haven't seen before, and I'll minimize it because the way that my Windows is set up and the graphics are just a little bit weird in terms of being odd. So here, this is GitHub desktop, and this is where you manage things like branches and change control types of pull requests. So, well, really just branches. So I'm going to say, go give me a new branch, and I try to use the menus instead of keyboard shortcuts when I'm showing you something that you may not have seen before. Usually I just hit Control B. So the branch that I'm going to go create is going to have our issue number in it. So our issue number was 2386. SP Blitz first, new or stats update check. Create a new branch. So now I have a branch locally, which are the changes that I'm working on. And Scott, you're absolutely right. There are a lot of people are now more expecting DBAs to know stuff like GitHub. It's way less than developers. Like developers, it's a mandatory thing, but here, DBAs, it's still fairly recent. So I've got this new branch. I have the code for SP Blitz first. The place where I have it is probably going to seem kind of awkward. It's in ctemp, but that's just because this is a Windows VM. I usually do my work on my Mac locally, but I just install this for y'all so that I can walk you through on demos. So here I've got SP Blitz first, so I can go open, welcome to the club, Chandu. So I can go open SP Blitz first in SSMS. So here's the code for it. Now I can go do my editing inside here. Now let me give you a few words about how my scripts usually work. So things like SP Blitz first. The way that they work is they create a temp table. Then they do a whole bunch of checks. And for every check, like, was the server rebooted recently? If they return rows, they insert the rows into the temp table. So at the beginning, we create a temp table. We do a whole bunch of checks individually, and all the checks are standalone, just pushing rows into this temp table. And at the very end, then we go take the rows out of the temp table and return them to the end users. So there's going to be a table called something like Blitz First Results that we're going to be dumping our data into. Chandu, you're absolutely right. Colin says, what pulls you out of the Mac out to the Windows? Because I want to meet people where they are. I want to show people the tools that they would usually use. Most of you just don't run Macs. There are very few of us out there who are SQL Server DBAs or developers who run Macs. I say SQL Server developers. There are lots of developers using Macs, just not SQL Server people. Welcome to the club in Madrid. The reason why I use a Mac is just because I switched during the Windows Vista days. Back during the dark days of Windows Vista, and the upgrades were coming out and all that, I was a sysadmin in DBA, and I saw Windows Vista, and I'm like, not today, Satan, and was like, switch. I'd always wanted a Mac before then, and I switched over. I wouldn't recommend that anyone switch today. Windows 10 is fine. Windows 10 does everything that you're going to need to do. It's just that now switching back is really hard. I bought several Windows laptops, and I just haven't been able to make the switch back. There's so many apps that I like on the streaming side. I have my streaming and everything, video production, all set up just the way that I want it on the Mac. It would be a work for me to switch over to Windows, and there's not an ROI for it at this point, especially with Microsoft being so open source and Mac friendly these days. So I'm going to scroll down here and show you the temp table that it goes and creates. So here's Chucky, I'm using Azure Data Studio. So here's the temp table that we're going to be going and populating. We're going to take the results of the query that we did in the first hour, and we're going to insert a row into here and dump in, here's everything whose stats changed. Now I have a decision to make. WP, it's only because you don't know me well enough yet. I have a decision to make. Should I put one row into this into this table for every stat that was updated, or do I just put one row in and then have some kind of XML piece, some big long list of all the stats inside there? Well, it turns out that I thought through this ahead of time when I was building SP Blitz First, and I have a details nvarchar max column that will take lots of data. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to insert one row into here with an nvarchar max with the full list of stats that were updated. So let's go down, and I'm going to insert or find out where I'm going to do this insert into the temp table. The way that I'm going to do that is so I should stop for a second too. So you see this check ID column. Every check that I do in SP Blitz First, like, do you have high CPU? Was the server recently rebooted? Is there blocking happening? Is a backup running? Every one of these is considered a check. And there is, talk about an unrelated question. I'm not going to hit that now, but I'll do questions in the next hour, after the top of the next hour, after the next break, when I finish this SP Blitz First section. I'll take totally unrelated questions, anything y'all want to talk about. So these check IDs, we have a list of them. We have a list of all the check IDs. It happens to be in the GitHub repo under documentation. Under documentation here, we have, SP Blitz First checks by priority. And it's a markdown file. I'm going to open it with Notepad only because it's a little easier to edit with Notepad than it is a traditional markdown editor. So here it says up at the top, the current high check ID is number 43. Instead, I'm going to say now I'm going to amp that up to 44. And I'm going to go find what priority do I want to call this. These are listed by priority. Generally speaking, when I'm doing checks and stuff like SP Blitz and SP Blitz First, I want to give you a prioritized checklist of why I think the SQL Server is slow right now. So how bad in the grand scheme of things are stats updates? What stats updates do is that they free the plan cache for specific objects, whatever objects that had that stat in them or had that index or table in them. So I'm going to look at that. Is it as bad as, you know what, right here, there's plan cache erased recently, and recompilations a second are high, and compilations a second are high. All of these have to do with stats being updated. I think I found my place. It's going to be, I found my place in the world. It's actually the Isle of Man. Okay, so we're going to put it right in here. 50, or let's go copy paste the other one. 50, and this is query problems, statistics updated recently. And then I'm going to need a link. So, and I'll have to code this link. I'm going to say /go/stats. I don't know if that's taken. I'm going to copy paste that out into my browser. This is why it's a lot of work writing open source stuff, is I actually have to document my work. Beautiful, perfect. That's actually great. I want a short code that I haven't used yet before, so that's going to be the one that we go use. Then my check ID is number 44. That's the one that I just added. So we're going to be adding this as check ID number 44. That's actually not written correctly. There should be a space in between here. That should also be alphabetized too. That should be put up here. So let's go move that around and save it. So now we've just saved our little documentation piece. We know that our check ID is 44. So let's go find where in the script we're going to add this check. Ninesh, welcome to the club. So this SP Blitz First has thousands of lines in it. Let's go look, and I'm going to shrink the text down to 100% here just for a second, only to show you the size of this thing. So if I go all the way down to the bottom, we're talking like in all about 4,000 lines worth of code. Where do I put this? Well, the way that SP Blitz First works is I'm going to leave it on this camera, even though it's kind of a side note here for a second. The way that SP Blitz First is it takes a snapshot of a whole bunch of DMVs, writes a whole bunch of DMVs to disk, like wait stats, waits for 5 seconds, takes another snapshot, and then compares what happened during that 5-second time span. So the place where I run a lot of analysis checks is while I'm doing a wait for up to the length of time that they ran it. I bet if I search for wait for inside here, so let's go hit wait for. If I search for wait for inside here, I'm going to find the place where we're doing the wait for, and then I'll zoom out. Da-da-da-da, that's exactly where it is. Do-do-do-do-do. Oops, shit, I lost it. Well, there goes so much for my not safe for work today. I swear a lot. People are always surprised when they meet me in real life. I have the worst potty mouth you could ever believe. All right, so in here it is. Raise error in raise roar, finished running investigatory queries. If we haven't waited for this seconds long, go wait. This is exactly where I want to put it. So right in here is where I'm going to add my check for stats were recently updated. So remember this line 2053. So, yeah, this is early, Deb. I agree quite much there. So here's where I'm going to add the check. And in order to do it, I'm going to copy paste someone else's check. So I'm going to select an easy one just so that it's a little easier to understand. That is beautiful right there. That's absolutely perfect. So copy. Nulligor says, is this an entire program in SQL? Yes, it's called a stored procedure. Stored procedures are kind of like apps that are just built into SQL Server. So here's the query that I've copy pasted from that I'm going to go edit. So I'm going to say, here's the query. Take my follow. Thank you, Nulligor. I appreciate it. Query problems, and the problem for this is statistics updated recently, and the check ID was 44, I believe. So now, the way that I usually write these checks is I just do a flat out insert, and the select here is whatever the problem was. Well, in here, it's going to be a little different because we have that big, ginormous query that we wrote earlier. This is the part that I need to go dump into the temp table. So I'm going to copy this out and go put it in the other window. So copy out our hard-won diagnostic query. I'm actually going to save that. So copy that out, and I'm going to put it into here. This is where I need to kind of merge these two things together. Now, if this wasn't dynamic SQL, or if it wasn't If it wasn't something that I have to do in SPMS for each DB, I would simply say select check 44 as priority, or 44 as check ID. We said 50 as priority. We said query problems and statistics updated recently, and then the URL was brentozar.com/go/stats. The problem is here, I've got this big piece of dynamic SQL that I need to integrate in there instead. So let's go do that. So instead of just doing this select out of here, thank you, Hyberts. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the club. So instead, what I'm going to have to do is move this temp table insert over into the MS for each DB. But if I do this, it's going to produce one line per stat. Because remember my original query, this thing produces one line per individual stat that comes back. I actually want just one line. Now here's where the part where I'm kind of at a crossroads. I only have about 35 minutes left before I wanted to switch into Q&A. So I might just go ahead and write this as is, putting one line in per stat. This is how we end up shipping features that we're not necessarily completely happy with. I'm going to do that. I'm going to insert one line per stat just because I'm going to show you the full life cycle of putting things into GitHub and all that. And then I can always come back better and make it better next time. So let's go make this into dynamic SQL. So I'm going to say insert into SP Blitz first check results. Boom. So here's that piece right there. And then select quote name. I'm going to have to select the other stuff too that we want. So it is 44 as check ID. Let's copy paste the rest. Come back better, make it later. Exactly. Yes. Which doesn't usually work out that way, but that's okay. Or I'll fix it in post-production is the other thing that we like to say. I'll fix it in post. So there's my stats updated recently, my finding. My details are going to be that object name that changed. So I'm going to say details equals, and then I'm going to tab out all this stuff. Oh, my shift really isn't working on that side. That's really weird how that works. So this has all the stuff that I want inside there. Lost in Spain. That's kind of amusing. That's good. So now I'm going through all those. What else do I have to add? I wanted details. I'm not going to have a details int. I'm going to move the URL around earlier just so that it's easier to read. So that I say cut and then paste. And then I'll double frame that in double quotes. There we go. So now I got my big old piece of dynamic SQL there that's going to run. It's not dynamic SQL. It's running SPMS for each DB. Now I can get rid of that piece right there. And this is how you write a check into SP Blitz first. Let's tab it in just a little bit. Comma, as in comma, chameleon. I know, it's terrible. I should be ashamed of myself. Now, is this going to work? Oh, man. So one of the things that stuck, David said you could use question mark, but exclude the system databases. I could, but you're never going to believe this. You're never going to believe this. People actually put things inside of the system databases sometimes. Unbelievable. Oh, man. I know. Jeez, it's absolutely terrible. I like Chucky. Never say comma again in chat. So somebody else said, could I use a CTE? Yeah, maybe. I'm just trying to get across the finish line as quickly as possible. Super Demon, or I said Super Demon. I read it really fast, and that's what it looked like. Sniper Demon. So I almost said Sniper Demo. So, well, welcome to the club. Thanks for the follow, or thanks for the subscribe. I appreciate it. So now I've got this. I don't actually know that this is going to work, because I got double quotes. No, that should work. SPMS for HDB. I think it's going to work. All right, so let's put her into place. Now, one thing that's a little tricky is I changed this during debugging. I changed this over to 150 instead of 15. So I'm going to change this back to 15. SP Blitz First has one other thing that's kind of interesting. You can run this on a scheduled job like every 15 minutes. That's where I came up with the 15. I'm just going to look up at the top of SP. I'm going to look up at the top of here to see if it has anything about minutes back, like go a certain number of minutes, and it does not. Okay, great. I think we've got a winner here. So let's go put this into production, and let's see what happens. Let's execute it. Now it at least compiled. We're off to a good start there. Now let's run it, SP Blitz First. And I'm going to run it with no parameters, just exactly as is. Ring a scene. That's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good. Now what do I have here? Ooh, at first it looks like I have a winner, because it says I have stats updated recently, but then get a load of that. Oh, jeez. So I need to exclude TempDB. So I probably shouldn't touch TempDB because stats will be changing on TempDB all the time. So let's go change that, because see how it shows that I had a bunch of things that were updated over there in TempDB. Chandu says, what is that in the details? It's what we call magic. That's the string that we built over in the first hour, where it says here's the statistic that was updated and how many rows that it had. So what I'm going to do instead here, I need to exclude TempDB. So 44, where is my, there it is. There's the check that we just added. So I'm also going to say where and DBID. Okay, so how do you identify when you're in TempDB? So I'm going to do a separate sidebar conversation. How do you know when you're in TempDB? So when a man loves a woman, how do you know when you're in TempDB? There are a lot of ways that you could do it. You could check the database name. You could also check the database ID. You could check for so the database ID is the same thing as a database number. I could also look at the question mark that was passed in. The question mark that was passed in from SPMS for each DB will give us the, have you ever had a man? Will give us, I could compare that to the word TempDB. The reason why I pause here and say this is that Microsoft has kind of hinted in 2019, if you go through sys messages is where they keep the messages that they're not necessarily ready to show you yet. Welcome to the club, not phantoms. The messages that they're not ready to show you yet, you can go in there and see documentation about undocumented features. So inside there's stuff about contained system databases, like the ability to put master, model, MSDB, etc. in an availability group and fail them around. Well, if you do that, odds are they're probably going to end up with different database IDs. So ever since that they started hinting that they're going to do this, I've stopped relying on database ID in new code that I write. Instead, I'm going to use the name TempDB. So let's go find out when I switch over to here. The way that I'm going to check to see if I'm in SP or in TempDB is instead of using DBID, I'm going to say and is anything other than TempDB. There we go. All right, so that should get it so that the database name is anything other than TempDB. Let's give that a shot. Let's put that into play, and then let's run SP Blitz First again and see what we got there. Oh, it's gone. Well, the trick is, of course, it's gone, but that doesn't mean that we've crossed the finish line, because whenever I test something, I not only got to get no false positives, I also got to throw in some real alerts inside there. So let's update the stats. Let's go alter table, DBO users, rebuild, so that we rebuild the objects inside of Stack Overflow 2010 users. And let's make sure that we get a warning on that. So we do, woohoo! So in here it says, and we'll go click on it to go click on it. Diaconera, maybe yes, and unfortunately though I can't rely on it if it's not already here. Welcome to the club, Nisar Gupta. Hey, that one's a tough one. Sometimes you can tell all the good usernames were taken. So in here, now it shows here had this many rows, produced this many steps in the histogram. Here it shows me what the details were. I like having line breaks inside here, so I'm actually going to go throw in line breaks. Hi, Shashank. But this is perfect. It's producing exactly what I want. This down to the millisecond is probably a bad idea. It's a little wordy inside here, but whatever. So let's go throw in line breaks inside here as well, inside our check. So for line breaks, I'm going to say plus, I want to say it's nchar 13 plus nchar 10. I want to say those are the two that will give you a combined, will give you a carriage return and line feed. So let's go execute that and see if we get a line break after the statistic. Shit. Oh. I swear a lot. So stats updated recently. Here it is. Yep, nice, very nice. We get a line break after statistic. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. So let's go copy paste that into several other places. Oh, dearie me. So let's paste that in there. And then let's paste that in here. We'll go plus boom. And then there, this needs to be an N. Then we'll go into here. That's perfect. That is exactly what I want. Execute. And let's try this again. SP Blitz first. Big money, no whammies. Chandu says, what is wrong with the mic? I assume you mean the microphone that lets my curse words get through, and that's my life. So let's go see. Perfect. So now we have the table name statistics was updated on this date. I want one after the date too as well. Let's throw that in. Close that. And he said, surprise. Let's see here. That's got the object. Then I wanted it after statistic. What didn't I say? Stat was updated on. What was it that it produced that was incorrect? Oh, after the number of, yeah, right there. Had this number of sampled. No, that's exactly what where the heck am I missing one? SP Blitz first. Where was I missing a, Here we go. Was updated on. So after the date time, that's where I want it. After the date time was updated on. That's where I missed it right there. Perfect. Okay, good. And then I don't need these spaces in front. Rows with this rows with this many rows sampled. Perfect. Producing this many steps in the histogram. Perfect. Hot diggity. So let's try it one more time and make sure that this is formatted as beautifully as I like it to be. And then click on it. Perfect. Ta-da. Has the object name, the stat was updated on this date. Had this, oh, there's a comma at the, oh, that's not good. That's not acceptable. Shashank says this is going bonkers for me at the moment. I don't even know what that means. So comma, chameleon. Your code compiles. Your code compiles. I need that over at the other end here and comma. So that adds that one. Rows sampled, produce steps in the histogram. I think that does it. Let's try now, and this might be the wiener. Chandu says, I think something is wrong with your mic. It sounds broken. What? I don't know what you're talking about there, Chandu. I don't know that anybody else has that experience. Yeah, nothing wrong now. You may want to try not listening to your listening to webcasts over on an AM radio. So I broke something inside there, and it was this piece right here. I forgot to put the plus sign over at the end. So that's not, if it's too loud, you're too old. So there we go. And he said the last comma should be before. Let's go take a look. All right. Oh, good. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, right there. That's the one right there after the date. So it's the one on the date. Let's see here. The date is right there. Good catch. Okay, so let's move that over here. Cut and then paste. And then this is, how all of my debugging goes. Run it 420 times, and then eventually you'll have a really good Really good looking output. So let's get it. All right, good. So here's the table name. Statistic name was updated on this date and time, had this many rows with this many rows sampled. I might even put stat. I'm torn on whether to put that on the same line. Put the object and the statistics. And I leave it that way. Producing 24 steps in the histogram. Okay, good. So I'm also going to say in there inside the actually, I'm going to stop there. That's pretty perfect in terms of details. I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to do Stack Overflow 2010. I'm going to do the same thing for a couple of databases just so that we see what it looks like when multiple stats are updated. Richard says, final comma should be then and or and. Isn't it tough leaving comments for stuff like this on places like Twitch where you get limited amount of space and you're like, I'm trying to convey a really complex idea and I just don't have enough space. So we'll let this thing go rebuild and then we'll go look at the output again. While it runs, you're saying that the final comma should be, final comma's there, that's in the right place, then and or and. Richard, I don't know and I don't agree with you, but I mean, I might just not understand what you're saying. Let's go take a look. Oh, no. It's not an and. So like I'm saying, Brent walked to the store and purchased 4 hot dogs, comma, producing a meal for 400 people or whatever it is. Obviously, that sentence doesn't make sense with hot dogs. But here, this statistic was updated on this date. It had this many rows in it with this many rows sampled, producing this many rows in the histogram. So it's a description kind of thing. It's not and producing. That wouldn't make sense. Okay, all right, so, because the rows sampled produce this many steps in the histogram. Okay, so, and I agree with you, it's kind of convoluted regardless. There are all kinds of ways you could phrase it, but that's what pull requests are for. Okay, it's not or though, it's this happened doing this. Brent met Erica at the drive-in theater, comma, producing a child. Obviously that didn't happen. I don't have any. My cap is the Isle of Man symbol. Isle of Man, it's the triskelion. It is very close to Sicily's symbol. Has to do with the fact that one of the people from Isle of Man came from Sicily, if I remember right. Ringzine just said that took a turn. Cue the sultry music. So I've got it now in SP Blitz first. It shows multiple rows inside here. The one thing that I do want to do inside the details is I want to tell them why that's a problem. So back over here, I'm going to say plus, and this invalidated plans in the cache for this object and causing plan compiles and introducing parameter sniffing. Period. There we go. All right, so that kind of explains why I'm worried about it. All right, now just to execute it one more time to make sure that I didn't screw that up, just that it still compiles and runs. Now I got to check my code into GitHub. I have to write the page get the link for /go/stats. So, it's not quite good enough here yet. We're really close, not quite. I want these alphabetized. I want these in some kind of order, and I want them to sort according to the details. So let's say in here, order by details. Order by details. Okay, so there we go. Period after histogram. There is a period after the histogram. It's right there. So save, execute, and then just to show you too, period after the histogram, it's right there. So that's good. Close that guy, and then let's run and see if it did the order. It's hard to see stuff like that on, monitors like yours, the 12-inch CRT that your grandfather handed down from the, did I say that out loud? I probably did. So it's still not ordered. So the reason why it's still not ordered is I'm ordering by going into the temp table, but I'm not ordering by on the final output of SP Blitz first. There's where my problem is. is. So let's go back and take out that order by inside here. I know I'm a terrible human being, right? Oh, I'm just awful. Oh, it's rough. So wherever the final select is, I need to order that by details as well. So let's go way down to near the end of the code and wherever we're doing the output, and I'm going to zoom way out. I'm going to make the font really tiny again, just so that it works okay on mine, works fine on my machine. It's not the row separated piece. It's not the up server piece. Let's find where this thing is at. Actually, let's do a Control F4 from Blitz first. Let's try that. It's not any of those. That's an update. This is not that. This, I didn't find anything. It's not that. Select star from. Oh, okay, so it's not a direct from Blitz first. Damn it. I'm not walking out of here without having the output. Where is it? That's where I'm outputting to table. And that's not it. If the output type is RSV, which is like separated values, so it's not that. It's not that. It is, if output type equals top 10, it's not that. Oh, it is right. No, that's not it. If output type is CSV or RSV, it's not that, but, and that one is actually sorted by details. So let's see, such a small piece of code. Yeah, there is a line feed variable. The problem is that it wouldn't have worked inside the dynamics, inside the SPMS for each DB because the variable wasn't declared in there. But great eyes, though. I usually use that line feed variable. Let's see here. So if expert mode equals 0, that's it right there. If expert mode equals 0 and output type is anything other than none, it's right there. We forgot to put it by details there. Woo! All right, so I'm going to look down and see if there are any others that are similar. Yep, there sure is right down below it. So let's dump in that too as well. Oops, it's this line right there. And then also, if expert mode equals 1, I want it sorted by details there as well. So we'll say our details. Perfect. Fantastic. Let's put that into production, and then let's get the font size so y'all can see it again, and we'll run it one more time. Didn't know you were going to get free karaoke this morning, right? One more time. Oh, for those of you who are in the evening, it probably makes sense. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. So I still didn't find wherever it's at. So let's go. God bless. Come on now. So I'm going to ship it. No, I'm not going to ship it. I would be ashamed if I shipped it like that. It's just terrible. So I'm going to go to 100% font size, and I know it's down inside here somewhere. Expert mode equals 0. That's what I'm doing. Expert mode is 0. Output type is anything other than none. I'm ordering by case this, then findings, then details. That's where I'm at. Oh, I wonder if it won't output by, I wonder if it won't sort by nvar. Oh, okay. So I bet that nvarchar isn't going to sort the way that I want it to. No, even that. It's probably not going to sort the way that I want it to. All right, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call that one done, just to say I'm not happy with it. Yeah, exactly. Go to the beach. Yes. Oh, you know what? One thing that I didn't say is no. I'm gonna roll with it. Okay. So it works good enough for government work. Jedi Mind Gorilla says, "Look at the output. You're not my real dad." He says the Stack Overflow is different dates. Well, it's not that it's different dates. They're different database names, 2010, 2013, 20. I want them to be sorted by database name, then object name, and all that, so that the first term, so this should be alphabetically as we're going through here, because everything else is exactly the same. Now we're on the last column to be sorted by, and unfortunately that's, yeah, Jedi says I thought they were. Gotcha. Okay, so we got this at least to the point where it compiles, it produces outputs, not as elegant as I would prefer, but it works close enough. It's how open source software gets built. So now let's go back over to GitHub. One of the things that I love about GitHub Desktop is it shows you this nice elegant diff showing you what changed. So in my file for the documentation that has the checks by priority, here is a color-coded, Wilfred says check line 3991. Wilfred, I like you. If Wilfred, I did fix it though. There it is right there. So I love that you were going there though, but unfortunately I did fix that one. So now let's go back over to put XXX in front of the possible outputs. Yeah, I'm just not going to go deeper into troubleshooting that one because I only have 10 minutes left before I want to do the next bio break and then switch into open Q&A. There's only so far I want to go down the rat hole. So now in SP Blitz first, now here's got the color-coded list of things that I changed. So here's the new check that I added. If I scroll down further, I also get here the things that I did with, what did we do there? 3991. Oh, so when you say 3991, you weren't talking about, so you weren't talking about, okay, gotcha. I thought you were talking about investigating the sort. Good catch, y'all. Oh, yeah. This is why I need y'all along every single time this is really why I live stream my code so that y'all can fix it before I go live out into the public. So let's save it and then let's put that little fella out into production. Let's do one last shot on the run just to make sure that it compiles. Because obviously if I injected an extra E there, then God only knows what would have happened. Woohoo! Yes! Sweet! Now we know why it wasn't working. So down at 3887. So what happened was when I went to go put this thing into production, I hit E instead of Control E. I didn't actually execute the script. We had the correct place for the line number sorting, but unfortunately you can't sort by nvarchar max. Okay. What if I cast that nvarchar max as something else? Now this tells you that anywhere that I had the sort in for details, I'm going to have to fix this. Let's try it. What happens if I go cast nvar details as, let's make it bigger so y'all can see it again. So let's say cast our details as nvarchar 4000. So now, if I cast it as that, will I be able to do a sort with that? And I get incorrect syntax because I forgot an extra thing there. Rewinded YouTube. Oh, very smart, Wilfred. I like that. So now, let's see if it'll sort after I've casted it as nvarchar 4000. And it's looking maybe good. No. Okay, so much for that. XML data type, except when using the as null. It's not XML. Oh, it might not be the place where I hit it. Okay, so I had done the cast, but I might need to do that in other places as well. This is where GitHub Desktop comes in really handy. It shows you all the places that you change things. So now I need to go here and here just to make sure that if I cast them here and here, that it'll actually sort. So 3930, let's go up to line 3930, and we'll do right there, cast as nvarchar 4000, and then where's the other place that it lives? 3908. So 3908. Yeah, Control G. It's just that I end up not using that as a Mac user because sometimes the control stuff doesn't always pass through correctly to a Windows VM. I know it's kind of cheesy. As nvarchar 4000. Welcome to the club, Cuzzy. So we've got that in. Let's do a save on there, execute, and we'll see if SP Blitz first will sort now. Man, come on. Yes, sweet. We are in business. So let's save that, make sure that's saved. That appears to work. We'll go back to GitHub. So now we've got all the changes. This is why I love looking at this GitHub desktop and making sure that there isn't something spectacular, not the DBA you're looking for. Ralph, you're looking at it, so your mouth. If you're looking at it right here on the screen, this is how I'm doing version control. Maybe if you paid attention, you might learn something. Then again, maybe not. Okay, so we'll go 2386 SP Blitz first, new check for stats, check for recently updated statistics. TG Yak, you may want to watch the replay and you'll see on that one. Closes. I'm gonna instead of say closes, I'm gonna say working on number 2386 because I'm gonna actually come back here and work on casting it as XML in order to get it to work. So let's commit, publish that branch. We'll do a pull request. So we will do a pull request with create pull request. And then say assign myself, and I will do this is SP Blitz, not SP Blitz cache, it's SP Blitz first, and it is an enhancement. And then this is on the milestone for this month's. Yeah, exactly, Surly, you're correct. So there's that, create pull request. It'll go into the dev branch. Checking for the ability to merge automatically, merge it and confirm. And then we are off to the races. So now that issue, I'm going to leave the issue open. Because there are a couple other things that I need to do. So the code is written, but now Khaled has a point. Thanks, Till. I appreciate it. That's very sweet of you. Khaled, your friend has a point that if you do a cast and an order by, the query probably needs tuning. You're absolutely right. This is one of those things where you feel guilty about as an open source maintainer. I wish everything that I did was perfect. Like I wish all my queries were perfectly tuned and Silverlight. You're not giving up on the Silverlight, huh? Ooh. Well, all the things to hang your hat on. I don't know that Silverlight is such a good call there. So I wish that everything that I did was absolutely perfect, but the reality is I've spent the last 2 hours scripting together with y'all. This script will be something that's free and given back to the community. Now, there's just only so many hours that I'll put into open source work. I hope that y'all enjoy it. I hope it makes your life easier. But am I going to feel guilty about it not being perfect? Not even close. That used to hold me back from doing open source work. I was worried that not everyone would like what I produced. I'd be like, oh, they're going to make fun of the stuff that I do. They're going to laugh at my T-SQL. You know what I learned? No one ever reads my T-SQL, and God knows they don't read the documentation or the directions. Holy moly. So I'm going to say the code is written, but I still have a few things to do. I need to write a documentation page at https brentozar.com, go stats. I need to update the monthly release post with information about it. Optional. I love that quote, Richard. That's one of my favorite quotes ever. It's so good. Optional. Tweak the script so that it only produces one line in SP. Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool, YGW. SP Blitz firsts output results for all stats with each stat listed on a line in the details. So there we go. I'm going to put the comment in there. I'm not going to consider that one done yet, but in terms of time, I'm like happy with where we're at. Okay, so now we're going to take our next bio break. So we're going to take a bio break. I'm going to come back at 5 minutes after the hour again, and I will do completely open Q&A. Anything that y'all want to ask about around SQL Server, knock yourselves out. So at 5 minutes after, we're going to come back and do open questions. In the meantime, I'm going to go fuel. I don't know that I'm going to do another espresso or not. I might do a decaf espresso just because my coffee shop downstairs has pretty good pour overs. So I don't want to be flying through the roof when I end up going down there and getting my lox and bagel. Thank you for the follow there, Disco. That's kind of cool. Disco, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I did say the SQL Server part, but you're open to ask me questions about anything. It's just that you're going to get really bad answers about everything else. So I will see y'all back here at 5 minutes after the hour. I will be right back.